Good morning.
How are
Good
you?
morning.
I
Morning.
am doing well. You know what they say with a time management workshop? You need to be on time.
That's it. That's it.
Thank you so much for such a warm introduction, especially on a Saturday morning. I am super excited about being here. I also want to acknowledge uh, Isaac, and I'm going to say, give me the other one.
Matthew.
Matthew?
Matthew, I want to absolutely acknowledge Isaac and Matthew for taking the time on a Saturday morning to invest in yourself. I am so proud of what you have started here in terms of your own professional development. Okay. So, what I'm going to ask now is Derek, I'm going to ask you to please probably make me the host so I can go ahead and share my screen.
Okay.
Anything else from room number one? We got procrastination. We got the snoozing in. We got forgetting to get things done. What else? Anything else from room number one? The bad habits.
We have the lack of prioritizing, making sure, we kind of list out the things that we want to do for that day, and then not being flexible because sometimes you may have a list of things that you want to get done, and then something comes out of left field and kind of shatters that list. So you kind of have to be able to pivot and move to something else.
Okay. Okay. So one thing that I would probably like to add to that, and that is really not planning,
Mhm.
right? Insufficient planning. Because when you plan, it's a direct correlation for how you use your time, right? So also showing up there is really not having a good plan for the day. Okay. Okay, great. Room number two. Help us out here. The good habits. What shows up regarding the good habits? So we're going to let Matthew lead this conversation.
Okay, so one of them was basically scheduling out your time so you know at different points in time what you should be doing, but also to like just get on top of things you need. So like moving from one thing to the next. And also just like even if you like get overwhelmed or you forget things, you just have to take a step back and just look over things, make sure you're still in that proper headspace.
Okay.
So what we wrote down is terms of the good habits are setting your schedule, staying disciplined to your time targets, prioritizing them, your time and your projects, setting time breaks to reset and reassess, and then taking time for self. But that snooze button be calling my name though.
Well, I appreciate you adding taking time for self because that is important as well, right? You know what they say, you cannot run on an empty tank, okay? So being able to set aside time for self to get proper sleep, put the phone away, right? To be able to carve out the time to maybe go and walk, make sure that we're eating right. Okay. So all of those things also play into the space of us being able to establish those good habits. So really, really proud of you in terms of the list so that we can know what, when we know better, we say we do better. So really good activity. And thanks so much for your participation. So now let's do a check-in. These are some of the top 10 common mistakes that show up regarding poor planning as it relates to time management. Number one, how many of you actually have some level of a to-do list that you can truly say that you start your day with some level of a list? Okay, so we've got Terrence, we've got Mr. Brown here, we've got Isaac. Okay, I like that. I like that honesty there, Matthew. Kind of, sort of, right? Kind of, sort of. Anyone else? Where my list people at, right? Absolutely. Don't get in the way of Miss Jackie's list, okay? Because it's going to get done and it's going to get done today. And so I want to build upon a really key word that Terrence used, and that is discipline. Time management requires discipline. You've got to be able to stay focused and you have to hold yourself accountable. You got to hold yourself accountable because it's one thing to make a list and then it's something else for at the end of the day, you look at that list and nothing has moved. Okay, so that's why that space of accountability is so important. And you got to learn that every single day. If this is what you said you were going to do, then you need to hold yourself accountable to get it done. Okay, the next one is not setting those personal goals, right? You, every day, I say it's a blank canvas. Every day is a blank canvas. And so you got to make sure that you are setting the goals that you said were important. You also heard Mr. Brown say about not prioritizing. The next thing you know, it's very easy to go to the things that we like to do. Okay? That's just natural behavior. It's very easy to go and do the things that we like to do. So when we begin to think about prioritizing, prioritizing also says what is due today? What is due in the next 2 days? Okay? So this is what we mean about being able to have that list, being able to write things down, and being able to say, I need to do this today. This is a non-negotiable. Okay? Failing to manage distractions. This is number one right here. This is number one. And the great thing about it, Isaac, is that if you know that your phone is a distraction, the number one thing that you should do is put it out of your reach. That is the number one thing that traps people every single day, is that if you see it, there's the need for you to what? Pick it up, right? So we used to say out of sight, out of mind. Out of sight, out of mind. So simply just try something different. You're going to say, guess what? For the next hour, I am going to focus in on getting my homework done. So that means that I'm going to go and put my phone in a complete another room. You got to manage those distractions, okay? And so I think that that could really, really help you in terms of just giving you that good hour of focus, right? Good hour of focus, because we know that when the phone vibrates, when we feel that a message has just come in, what's our natural tendency? Oh, I need to stop and pick that up, right? So this is what we mean by you have the ability to manage that. And the fastest way to do that is take the phone and put it in another room, okay? The next one is procrastination. Procrastination is real because we are delaying something that we probably don't want to do. That's the number one reason why we procrastinate, is that we really don't want to do it. And so I'm going to talk to you about some techniques that we can hopefully work on to eliminate procrastination, because procrastination is the biggest robber of all dreams, because everybody's going to do it tomorrow, right? We live in this space of tomorrow. Oh, no big deal. I just do it tomorrow. What are we accomplishing? It's not like tomorrow is next week. You're talking in less than 24 hours, you're going to have to face that same monster. So why wouldn't you go ahead and do this now? The reason that it's so important for you to do it now is because you have no idea what tomorrow is going to bring, right? You have no idea what tomorrow is going to bring. So this is why we must live in the space of now, because we do not know what tomorrow is going to bring. And oftentimes tomorrow usually brings more assignments. So when you're in school and something may be due on Friday and you think, hey, it's Monday, I'm good. I got 4 days. And the next thing you know, Wednesday shows up and your teacher gives you what? Something else that's going to be due. And now you're beginning to feel stress. right? You're beginning to feel that stress because all of a sudden you have now literally wasted 3 days. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You didn't touch anything and you had the time to do it. Okay, so this is why we must get into the mindset of doing things now. Another benefit about doing things now is that you won't forget. You won't forget. That's why Nike has made so much money off of that simple phrase, right? What that simple phrase says, just do it, right? Just do it. The next one is sometimes, even as adults, it's very easy for us to take on too much, right? Take on too much. And so with me, because I know that I really have good time management skills, sometimes it's easier for me to take on too much, right? Because I feel that I can get it done. I have an insane capacity, okay? But that's also not very good because that means that I don't do a very good job in terms of self-care, right? Better known as the lack of sleep, okay? So we got to work on that too. The next one is it's very easy for us to thrive on being busy. People thrive on being busy. So you've got to learn how to transition from being busy to is it done? So at the end of every day, I ask myself, I say, Jackie, what did you accomplish today? That's a very different question from just being busy. Because when I ask myself, what did I accomplish today? That means that this is done. I don't have to touch this again. Okay? And that's how you clear the deck. That's how you clear the deck. And every time I clear the deck, you know what else I'm doing? I'm making space. I'm making space for something else that maybe could be coming my way that I didn't even know about. Okay? So this is how I want you to begin to hold yourself accountable and rethink your day. At the end of the day, Isaac and Matthew is going to start asking themselves, what did I accomplish today? Did I turn in my paper? Did I follow up? Right? Did I follow up with this teacher? Did I go to my next club meeting? Right? So this is how did I read those 10 pages that the teacher told us we needed to have done by Friday? Okay? So this is how I want you to start thinking about your time. What did I accomplish today? Okay? Very, very, very different conversation to have with yourself. So, when we begin to think about time, you see, time is more valuable than money. How many of you believe that? That time is more valuable than money? I appreciate that. And the reason for that is because you can always get more money, but you cannot get more time. You see, we cannot even get back 8 o'clock this morning. It's gone forever. Okay? And so I often use the metaphor of Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was one of the wealthiest people here in the Silicon Valley. And for maybe a Matthew and an Isaac that don't know about Steve Jobs, he was one of the original founders, of course, of Apple, right? But when you look at his life, Steve will tell you that money could not keep him here. If he had the choice between money and time, he would have chosen time. Okay? So this is why we've got to shift that mindset of wasting it. Okay? Because it is so valuable that you can't get any more of it. Okay? So that's why we're not going to sit up here and give someone 2 and 3 hours on the phone when we have nothing to show for it. Okay? We have nothing to show for it. We're going to do a much better job in making time an investment. Okay? We're going to make time an investment. And that's the key reason why this workshop is so important for all of us. Okay? So when we begin to think about time, it's also important for you to understand what we call your rhythms, because some of us could be morning people and some of us may be night people. Okay. So even though you may go to school, Isaac and Matthew, would you say that you may be a morning person, or maybe you could be kind of like a night person? Which one would you say? Which one do you feel that you like have the greatest level of energy? Is it usually in the morning, or is it maybe later on in the day when you're in school?
I think for me, it's later on in the day at school.
Okay.
Yeah, it's mostly like right after like 10, 11 is when I start to wake up some more.
Okay. Yeah. As a matter of fact, they've actually set up where students today are actually going to school later. Okay. I remember this. That was a big bill that was recently passed. I think you guys like start your day like at maybe 8 something now,
We
or
start at
maybe,
8:30 now.
yeah, exactly. So this is why I wanted to bring this up, is because it is real, where so many students as well as the teachers were like, these kids that come to class and they don't even start waking up before, 8:30, 9 o'clock. So this is why it's important for you to understand, when do I do my best work? Okay. And even as adults, we have to ask ourselves the exact same thing, because we also live in the space of our own rhythms. And the reason that this is important is because it also helps you to prioritize. Okay? Helps you to prioritize. If I have a big project, and a project that I know requires really big concentration, if you know you are a morning person, that's the first thing you should kick off your day with. Okay? Because there's nothing like trying to do a difficult project and you're going to try to do it in the evening. Not going to work for you. Okay? You're going to spend 3 times more time trying to do it, because that's not really a good space for you. Okay? So it's important for you to recognize, am I a morning person, or basically am I an evening person?
I guess
So when,
my
yes,
comment here there is I think once you get into the corporate world, though, you're going to have to be able to make those transitions, because a lot of times you may be productive during the afternoon, but then you've got meetings that are happening in the morning, especially for those that you're working with that are in other states, and as well as working with a global crew. You're going to have to be able to do a lot more even in the evenings,
yeah,
because in Asia, their evenings is basically, well, their evenings is basically our mornings, I believe, or the other way around, where you may have to work with them at night because that's their mornings.
yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for that, Shelton. I also want to just let you know, even when you go off to college, it's going to be super important for you to put these practices in place. Okay. You're not going to have your parents there to say, hey, is your homework done? Hey, it's time to get up. Okay. So this is why getting these good habits down now is going to pay off so much, because when you're in college, it is an open calendar. And there's going to be people calling you in many different directions. Hey, you know what? Let's go to this party. Hey, you know what? Let's just kind of go to the pub right now. Hey, let's go play basketball. It's going to be like a buffet. So many things for you to choose from. And this is why that space of discipline comes in so important. So, as I like to say, when you think about time management, the devil's in the details. Because when you think about procrastination, procrastination is simply putting off or delaying something that you really need to do. And you know what? It's not going to go away. Now, I hear some people say, well, Jackie, I'm sorry. I'm not a planner like that. I do my best work late at night, or I do my best work last minute. I've heard people say that. Okay. So there's many different drivers when it comes to how people work. I know personally, I need to get things done. I have some people that say, Jackie, I cannot get my head into the game until the last minute. And so they may be up to 1 and 2 o'clock at night writing a paper. And that may be when they feel like their back is against the wall and now I have no way out, right? I have no way out. I'm forced into the corner. Different people work differently, but I'm going to do my best to help you to establish some much greater habits versus last minute. Okay? Because oftentimes last minute does not always yield the best results. Okay? Because number one, you're stressed. Number two, the quality goes down. Okay? The quality goes down because you have not even had a chance to proofread it because now you got your back up against the wall. Okay? So students pay the price for procrastination. It's rushing, sloppiness of work, missed details, and most of all, it can affect your grade. Okay? It can absolutely affect your grade. So this is why this workshop and getting these good habits down early is so important. The next one is for me, it's about having a clear vision. Because when you have a clear vision and you know what you need to accomplish today, you get better results. If I know today that I've got 5 things on my calendar that are absolutely non-negotiable, and somebody calls me up and they may say, "Hey, Jackie, let's go to lunch today." And I've had this even happen to me when I was in the corporate world. I said, "You know what? Not going to work for me. I'll catch you on Friday." They were not on my schedule. Okay? I am a scheduled person, not on my schedule. And if it's that important, we can plan it. Okay? But you have to get comfortable in telling people no. You've got to get comfortable in telling your friends no, that I have another priority today. Okay? So, this is why it's so important for you to have that list. Because when you don't have some type of list to kind of keep yourself organized, you'll be all over the place, right? You'll be all over the place. It'll make you feel good because you're busy and you're hanging out with your friends, but you're not getting anything done. Okay? You're not getting anything done. So this is why it's very important that you need to understand what's my goals for the day and what's my mission. Okay? How am I going to judge if I had a good day today? This is a big one. And that is about what I call setting time limits. This is going to help you out tremendously in the space of procrastination. Okay? So, once again, we're procrastinating because we don't want to do it, right? So, this is what we call eating the elephant one bite at a time. So, because you don't want to do it, let's just start small. And the way that you start small is that maybe you say, "I'm going to work on this for 30 minutes. I'm going to physically set a timer and I'm going to work on this for 30 minutes. And before you know it, 30 minutes has turned into maybe 45 minutes. Because oftentimes we can weave a story in our mind where we say, "This is hard," right? "This is hard." Or, "I don't really know what I'm doing." So when we have these second and third level thoughts, it's very easy to what? Put things off. So if you just start small, if you got a project that's due on Friday at school, you need to touch that project every day. I'm going to commit to 30 minutes today, another 30 minutes on Tuesday, okay? And before you know it, the project is done versus you starting that project on Thursday night, okay? Any parent knows when their child has put something off because we see you up at night doing things last minute. Okay? So that goes back to what? Building that good habit of being able to use your time, setting your goals, and just being able to use the timer and touch that project every day. Okay? The next one that also shows up is what we call calendar blocking. Calendar blocking is a great tool. And so, what the calendar blocking does is that when you get home from school, instead of you picking up your phone first thing, and it's okay to set yourself a schedule, okay? When you get home, if you need to kind of decompress, you need to maybe get yourself a good snack. I'm okay with you, being on your phone for maybe 30 minutes after you get out of school. But at 4 o'clock, we got to cut it off. Okay? So 4 o'clock, we begin to now what? Get into our homework. You send yourself the calendar block. And the calendar block says from 4 to 5 o'clock, this is what I'm going to work on. 5 to 6, this is what I'm going to work on. By this time, your parents are like, okay, time for you maybe to have dinner or whatever, what's going on, what's next. So, calendar blocking is another way for you to keep yourself organized. Okay? Put it on your calendar. What am I supposed to be doing now? It's a great way to keep yourself organized. So, is anyone here doing calendar blocking? Okay, Terrence, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you use calendar blocking as well as Alex?
Half the time I use it so people will leave me alone at work.
Hmm.
So if I'm being totally honest. So I know I'm best at certain times of the day where I've got a certain amount of energy and the brain is really functioning well. Or I may just this is me time and I'll just block my calendar for me time, you know.
Yep, absolutely. Especially when you have people that have access to your calendar at the job. Okay. And so I appreciate that because I have done the exact same thing where someone would come to me and say, hey, Jackie, we're trying to set up a meeting and I see that you're not available. And the first thing I say is, yes, you are absolutely correct. I'm not available. What's the nature of your meeting? And most of all, what's going to be my role at this meeting? And if people cannot tell me what my role is going to be at that meeting, I'm not giving up my calendar block. Okay. So I am right there with you. Alex, how are you using calendar blocking?
Yeah, basically the same thing at work. So allocate time for deep work where I just focus, put my do not disturb on, and then if something's urgent, then they'll email me because Teams doesn't go through. But also for personal stuff. So, because well, work and then, you need time for like fitness, relax from work, like just to de-stress. So, have time for that. And then studying for the CFA level two. So, in order to do that, in amidst my hectic life at work, life balance, I do allocate time for like, this is the amount of time I'm going to be spent studying outside of work. And
Mhm.
then the wind down session for me to go to sleep. So, yeah, that's how I allocate my time.
Yes, I love that. And so, what you're hearing there, Matthew and Isaac, is these are still things that even as adults that we are incorporating in our everyday life. Okay. So this is why I really want to acknowledge both of you for taking the time to become a member of the Kappa League. Okay. Because these are real life skills that you're getting a chance to really learn at a very young age, really setting yourself up for success. Okay. So I just want to let you know that everything that we're sharing with you, we are also using these same tools in our everyday life. Okay. So definitely take advantage of them. The next one is you also, once again, being able to have your list, but it's one thing to have a list, but you also got to use the list. Okay. You got to make sure that you're using it. You got to hold yourself accountable because there's so many different tools out there that you guys have now, whether it's, Google Docs, and you guys just have so many things at your fingertips that we never ever had before. Okay. So those things can be good and they can also be a curse too. Okay. And once again, that goes back to what? Picking up your phone. And you may pick up your phone for something that started off in 5 minutes. And next thing you know, 20 minutes later, you're still on your phone. Okay. So when you begin to think about SMART goals, I'm going to ask Matthew and Isaac, are you familiar with the term SMART goals?
No.
Okay. Okay, great. So this is a really
Maybe. I think I might have heard of it this before.
Okay, good, good. So this is once again a really good learning opportunity for you. So it's one thing for someone to have a goal and then it's something else to make it a SMART goal. Okay. So let's say, for example, I may say, one day me and Shelton are going to go back to Hawaii. Do you think that's a SMART goal? You think that's a SMART goal, Isaac and Matthew?
Not really.
Okay.
I don't think it's like maybe it's the time bound. Like you should have like some idea of when it should be happening.
Okay, good. Good. You're absolutely correct. Because one of the things about making it a SMART goal is that you're absolutely correct. It needs to have a time frame to it. Okay. So now if I took that same example and I said, for me and Mr. Welch 40th anniversary, we are going to absolutely go to Hawaii again, right? I've already given you the time frame, haven't I? I said for the 40th, right? So it was very specific. So that's exactly what happens when we begin to think about establishing SMART goals. They need to be specific. So every day you need to be able to write down specifically what is it that you're going to accomplish today. Today, I'm going to read 10 pages of this book. Very specific, right? You'll measure it because you'll be able to say, I did it. The next one is it achievable? So if you know that maybe on Mondays you have football practice or maybe you've got soccer practice, do you think that committing to reading those 10 pages on Monday is the best day for you to do that when you may already have such a full schedule? You see what we're doing here, right? We want to make sure that we're putting these things where they can be achieved. Okay? We want to set you up for success and not for additional stress. Okay? So, this is why it's so important for you to know your calendar, know your schedule. Okay? Because all of these things can be achieved. As a matter of fact, that's why I was such a huge fan of Kobe. See, many people don't realize that Kobe chose the number 24 because there's 24 hours in a day. He lived by the philosophy of what? Mamba. Mamba. Get the most out of your day. Okay? Get the most out of your day. And you cannot do that when you're not specific, when you're not setting goals, and you're not holding yourself accountable. Okay? Because we all get what? The same 24 hours in a day. That is never going to change. Time is an equalizer. It's an equalizer. You'll never get more time. And that's not always the answer. The real answer is, what am I doing with the time that I have? That's what we need to be asking ourselves on a daily basis. What am I doing with the time that I have? You'll never get more than 24 hours in a day. Okay? So you heard me mention this earlier about making that transition, right? Making the transition from going from what? Busy, busy, busy to really getting things done. Okay? And this is what I want you to start doing. From this workshop, we're going to spend some time on this. Okay? You're going to get a chance to reflect upon this is a new month. This is October, right? This is October. And I'm sure that you may be getting ready for, mid exams. A couple more tests may be coming up, right? How are you going to study? What are you going to do differently, right? And so when we begin to think about, sometimes we have these gaps in our day, right? Just like I gave you that 1 minute. I gave you that one simple minute when we started off. So think about some of the things that we could be doing with just 15 or 20 minutes. Just reading. I love to be able to see kids when I'm maybe at the doctor's office and they pull out a book and they're reading versus swiping on their phones, right? The ability to follow up, the ability to basically keep your homework moving. And so if you maybe know that I don't know if you're driving yet or not, but I can remember, when our youngest daughter was active in many different things. I would always make sure that she had her homework in the car. That car time is real. And sometimes it could be 20, 30 minutes between traffic, your home, school, before your parents can even get you to your next activity. That's real time. 30 minutes in the back seat. What more could she be doing in terms of getting more and more of your homework done versus 30 minutes, you just swiping on the phone? So, this is what we mean about being intentional. It's very important when it comes to time that we have to be really intentional in order to get things done. Okay. So I've got this really wonderful video that I'm going to share for you now. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, technology works. Okay. Here we go. Build a website you love with Wix, where your words. Can you hear it? Oh, no.
No.
Okay. Hold on here.
See if you turn it up.
Okay. Hold on. I'm going to try something. Can you hear it now?
Yeah.
Jackie technology.
Good afternoon, everyone. We all have this one life to live. A fleeting shadow amongst all that exists in this vast universe. We have the ability to accomplish anything, truly anything, if we use our time wisely. Is this jar full? Yes. And is it full now? Yes. And how about now? Is the jar full now? Yeah, it is. Now, I want you to recognize that this jar represents your life. Golf balls are the important things, your family, your friends, your health, and your passions. The pebbles are the other important things, your car, your job, your home. The sand is everything else. It's just the small stuff. Now, if you put the sand into the jar first, you won't have room for the pebbles or the golf balls. The same is true in life. If you spend all your energy and your time on the small stuff, you won't have time for all the really important things that matter to you. Pay attention to the things that are critical to your happiness. Take care of the golf balls first, the really important things. Set your priorities, because everything else is, it's just sand. Yes?
Professor, what does the beer represent?
I'm glad you asked. It goes to show that no matter how full your life may seem to be, there's always room for a couple of beers with a friend.
Okay, give me some feedback on that. What resonated for you?
I liked how it talked about focusing on the big picture before you start letting that get away from you, looking at all the small things in life.
I saw you also smiling quite a bit on that, John.
What's that?
I said I saw you smiling quite a bit on that. What?
Yeah. I've actually seen it before, but one of the things I would think of is that you're always room to add a little bit more.
Uh-huh.
And that's exactly what that was. You're saying, oh, is it full? Well, no, let me put this in there. I
Mhm.
mean, so the capacity changes over time.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And thank you so much for that perspective. But what he also showed you was that if we don't schedule our day properly, we will not be able to to fill up that jar the way that he did. Okay? That is just as important is understanding what Derek said earlier about prioritizing because he made it very clear. If I put the sand in first, there's no way that I would have had rooms for the balls.
that was a
And
good one.
so the way that you schedule and set up your day regarding your time is a direct correlation to capacity. It's a direct correlation to capacity. That is just like for me, when I run my errands, I run more than one. I literally stack them. I stack them and they may fall on a Friday or it may fall on a Tuesday, but I look at my schedule and I say, this is going to be my errand run day. And I can guarantee you I'm going to go more than 3 places. And oftentimes they're right there together. Okay. That's maximizing my time. Okay. So you got to make sure that how you set up your day is also increasing your capacity. Okay. Anyone else regarding the video?
This is Derek. Yeah, I think it was a great example of how, you can, kind of build out your day and your time. It was a big, a big eye opener when you put the golf balls in first, and then you pour all this other stuff around. And it's kind of like you're saying, like how you plan out your day. It may be sometimes where you tackle some big things, but then there's some other little small things, like you said, maybe having a beer with a friend is something small,
That's
but
right.
at some point you could still, at the end of the day, maybe tack that in, but you still accomplish, an array of larger things as well. So it's a good way to kind of align your day with big tasks, small tasks, and get a lot of stuff done.
Yeah. And so to build upon that, I'm going to give you a really good example. Last week was a travel week for me. I
Mm.
went to Memphis, Tennessee. And when I got to Memphis, I actually had to drive to my work venue, which was in Humboldt, Tennessee. Okay. So on Monday, this is like 6 a.m., I'm sitting in the airport and I said, wait a minute. I said, if I'm going to fly into Memphis, I know too many of my friends that live in Memphis. So it's a 2 hour time zone difference. So I'm actually texting at the airport. I'm texting one of my sorority sisters, and I said, Velvet. I said, I am coming to Memphis. I said, on Friday, my flight does not leave until 4:45. I said, Velvet, we can do lunch. She texts me back saying, Jackie, don't tease me like this. Are you serious? You're coming to Memphis. I said, I am coming to Memphis. You guys, I saw 5 of my college friends that I went to Tennessee State with last Friday. Okay. And it was because on Monday, I planned ahead, had completed all of my big rocks, a 3-day workshop, and I drove an hour and a half and they set up the restaurant that was 20 minutes away from the airport. Okay. And I had that very special moment that he just talked about. Okay. Always making time for friends. And I had a chance to have an amazing lunch with 5 of my friends that I went to Tennessee State with. Yes. So if you use your time properly, we can absolutely have those types of experiences. Anyone else from the video? Okay. So this is just to give you an idea, Matthew as well as Isaac. And that is, I just want you to just kind of take a couple of minutes, okay? Take a couple of minutes here and maybe think about some things that you know that you have going on at school, okay? So let's say, for example, the new month has just started and you may have projects. You've got the holidays coming up. I see sometimes schools may give you work, right? And they may give you like a long due date. So now sometimes you think, oh, I'm good. This is not even due until after Thanksgiving. I got all the time in the world, right? I have seen this happen. And the next thing you know, the window is getting shorter and it's getting shorter on that project, and you haven't even started. Okay. So I just want you maybe to think about, one or two things that could be a big rock for you. Okay. One or two things that could be a big rock for you. And let's kind of talk about that. Okay. I want to give you maybe about, maybe a good minute and a half. I don't want you to overthink it. I just want it to be maybe something natural that that you have coming up regarding schoolwork. Okay. Give you about maybe a good minute on that. And this is the exact same thing also for you adults. What would be some of the big rocks that that you may have coming up as well? I know I've got a ton of them, especially with just 90 days remaining in the year. We're all dealing with what, year end? We got the holidays, we got Christmas travel. We may have to make reservations that we've been procrastinating on. We got a lot of big rocks, right? Reports that may be due for the organization. It's a lot going on in our world, okay? So this assignment is for you as well. What are some of those big rocks that you may be dealing with also? Okay, anyone willing to share?
Yeah. So for me at school, I have a AP test and also have to study for the SAT.
Okay, and so when do you plan on taking those exams?
I'm not sure when it is, but I think the SAT is sometime in like November.
Okay, so that is really right around the corner now because we have officially turned the calendar to the month of October. Okay, so your runway has gone from here to here now. Okay, so this is what we mean about you got to now be intentional. We absolutely have to carve out time on that calendar every day, building in that discipline that we talked about, right? An hour, an hour a day. After this workshop, what are you going to do after today? Right? You got the entire weekend, Saturday, Sunday. And at some point, you got to change that 1 hour to 2 hours, right? Because we really want to make sure that we do good on that exam, right? That's a big one. And so you also heard Mr. Alex talk about he's studying too. He gave us the example of the calendar blocking. So he is doing the exact same thing that you're doing, and he is still studying for an exam that he's going to be taking also. Okay, so I just want to let you know that we do the exact same thing as adults. That's why we want to get you into having the right habits early. Okay, because you heard the instructor in that video say what? You can accomplish anything if you use your time wisely. Okay, anything for you, Matthew?
Actually, he kind of reminded me I need to study for SATs too, because we were trying to set that up. but I have my own too. So I have an mini IO to do for IB, well, it's IB prep for math. And then I also have to study for an upcoming test for chemistry. And I also have to take a retake for a quiz I took earlier. There's like things
Okay.
going on, but it's mostly studying in that project.
Okay, very good. And so what's the timelines to those? So if your teacher is going to allow you to do a retake, what's the timeline? When is that test
Thinking
going to take place?
because I do want to get my old test back because I didn't get it back last time, so I can study that. So I was thinking doing that lunch on Monday.
Okay. So what I'm hearing, Matthew, is that that could be something that's really good for you to write down. Okay. See, we're already planning. See, we're planning ahead. Going back to that to-do list, right? We're planning ahead. We're going to write that down. We're going to be intentional. And then when lunchtime comes on Monday, that's going to be a follow-up. Okay, that's going to be a follow up. So at the end of Monday, when you get ready to do your reflection, and what are we going to ask ourselves at the end of each day? What did I accomplish today? Right? And that's going to be one that you're going to hold yourself accountable to and say, I accomplished today, making sure that I had a chance to get my math exam back. Okay, so this is what we mean about time. It's about really being intentional. Anyone else willing to share some of your big rocks? What are you working on?
For
I'm
me,
working on getting
oh,
my taxes done for 2024 by the 15th of October.
Oh, no pressure. No pressure.
None at
Okay,
all.
no pressure. You got
None.
some rocks. Okay. The extension date is here. Okay.
It
The
is.
Yes, it is.
It's
Okay.
real.
I'm feeling a little bit of that P word there, procrastination.
Yeah.
Okay. Here it is.
And then if he doesn't get it done, he just needs to let us know what jail he's going to be in.
Okay.
He's
Spoken like a true brother, right?
going to
Spoken
be
like a
here
true
or
brother.
somewhere else.
My
Okay.
brother.
Exactly. Okay. But this is what we mean. It will sneak up on you before you know it. You think you've got all the time in the world.
Right.
And here we are. It's October. You're talking less than 10 days.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a big rock. Less than 10 days. So, this is what we mean when we talk about every day building in those good habits and being intentional. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to share with you some different techniques, right? Different techniques that you can also use in terms of prioritizing how we make decisions. Okay, how we make decisions. So, when you begin to think about what's important, John has now said, I got a real deadline, October the 15th. This one is non negotiable. Okay. I've already got one extension. This is it. So, do you think that he's got some big rocks? He's saying no to a lot of stuff right now. Nope. I'll see you next time. Okay. Every moment of his time is now going to his big rock, the taxes. Okay. So, this is what we mean when we talk about moving things from urgent to important, how we make decisions. Okay. This is all about getting things done now. So, this is what we call the Eisenhower matrix. Okay. And so, this is going to be good for both, really everyone. But for Matthew and Isaac, I want you to pay extra attention to these boxes. Okay. Because it's really going to help you and it's going to help all of us regarding how we make decisions. And this is something that Mr. Brown said very early on. Every single one of your days will require flexibility, and it also requires how you make decisions. Okay? Because you will constantly have things where people will say, Nope, I need this now, right? I need this today. Okay? And the same thing with you, Isaac. When I asked you that question, you said, Sometimes I have to switch up, right? I have to switch up regarding being flexible. So, this is why you increasing your capacity to get more things done will help you when those unexpected things show up. Okay? When those unexpected things show up, The more you're able to clear out each day, you're building space for those things that you know nothing about.
And put those small things like that saying at last.
Okay? You are building space. You know what? I like to use the metaphor of the dirty dishes. Okay? Because that's a good visual. It's very easy for when people basically, finish a meal, they just put the plate in the sink. And the next thing you know, the plates start stacking up, right? And sooner or later, what happens? They all fall over, right? They all fall over. Well, here's the difference. If you wash the plate when you're done, what happens? You never have a dirty sink. You never have a dish in the sink. So you got to build in the habit of being able to move your work as it comes in. Move your work as it comes in. And then that way, what happens? You never ever have the dishes stack up. The same thing happens with your work. When you move your work, when it comes in, it won't stack up on you. Okay? So now let's take a quick look at the Eisenhower matrix.
Have you recently had the feeling
You can hear
there
it?
is more to do than you can achieve in a day, a week, or even a month? A good time management strategy solves this problem and can dramatically reduce stress and increase your own productivity at the same time. The Eisenhower Matrix by former US President Eisenhower supports you in prioritizing tasks by urgency and importance and sorting out those less urgent or important tasks which you shouldn't do yourself. This results in 4 quadrants with different work strategies. We call the first quadrant the do first sector, as its tasks are important for your life and career and need to be done today or tomorrow at the latest. You could use a timer to help you concentrate while trying to get as much of them done as possible. An example of a number 1 task could be a review of an important document for your manager. The second quadrant we call the schedule sector, as its tasks are important but less urgent, and you should list those things that you need to put in your calendar here. An example of that could be a long-planned return to the gym. The third quadrant takes up things you could delegate, as they are less important to you than others but still pretty urgent. You should keep track of delegated tasks by email, telephone, or within a meeting to check back on their progress later. An example of a delegation could be somebody calling you and asking for an urgent favor or requesting you step into a meeting. Maybe you could delegate this responsibility by suggesting a better person for the job, or give the necessary information back to the caller and have him deal with the matter himself. The fourth and last quadrant is there to help you sort out and eliminate the things that you really shouldn't do at all. Discover and stop bad habits like surfing the internet without a reason, or other forms of procrastination like gaming too long, just to find an excuse for not being able to deal with important tasks in the first and second quadrant. And that's it. Give it a try yourself or head on over to eisenhower.me for more information. And don't forget, as Dwight Eisenhower once said, what's important is seldom urgent, and what's urgent is seldom important.
Okay, so how many of you have ever heard of the Eisenhower matrix? Anyone? Okay. How are we using this? I see your hand up, Mr. Heels. How are you using this? You're on mute.
So for me, it's probably a daily use of that type of matrix, and I think I explained it. Well, we did it in the breakout session. Is when I come into my office, I will sort of reverse the matrix, and get the small stuff out of the way quickly, and the things that I have to concentrate on, I'll leave those for the bulk of my day. And then during the time of working on that, reassess, double take breaks or whatever it is, just so I can maintain the proper level of focus just to get that stuff done.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I call those my quick hits.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
We always want to have, the quick wins, whether it's just going through the quick emails. If it takes you less than 1 or 2 minutes, it's something
Right.
that you need to do right now.
Yeah, because
Okay.
those are the things that slip
Quick
away,
hits.
and then for everybody else, they become urgent, even though you saw it. I don't need to do this right now, but just get it out of the way so it's done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So oftentimes when you think about time management itself, if this requires less than 3 minutes, you need to do this now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's what I call the quick hits. Okay. So this is something for you, Isaac, as well as Matthew, for you guys to consider, right? Number one, the quadrant number one was about what? Doing this first. Just like you told me that on Monday, your goal is to get your chemistry paper. Okay. You need to do that first. Okay. You need to do that first. And then the next one, which is quadrant number two, is about scheduling, right? Being able to take Sunday night and get yourself organized for the week. Okay. And so you're able to look at your schedule at a glance. On Sunday night, Matthew and Isaac, you need to be able to say, I know I've got a chemistry test on Wednesday. I got another test on Friday. You're looking ahead. Okay. You're looking ahead. And so this is how you're going to build in those good habits that we talked about. Okay. And so my mom and dad had 4 girls. I know, my poor dad, right? 4 girls, okay? And my mom was adamant that we were never going to be late for school. So there was a lot of discipline that my mom instilled in us regarding habits. And so she would make sure that at a minimum 20 to 30 minutes every single night, we had our stuff organized. I mean, we never woke up in the morning looking for anything. Our clothes was out at night. Okay? And those fundamental habits have never left me. Even when I went off to college, they never left me. Okay? So this is what we mean when we say we have more time than we realize. Okay? So every night I still carve out that 20 to 30 minutes to plan for the next day. We never woke up in the morning making any lunches, none of that stuff. We were focused, and it was about getting up and getting out the house, okay, and being on time. So just be mindful of that in terms of the Eisenhower matrix. It's how we all make decisions, okay? So I am doing my own time check with the 2 minutes remaining. I want to now turn things back over to Mr. Brown. Love to be able to ask if there's any remaining questions. But one of the things that I want to
Have you
do
recently had the
is that I want to take you right here to the end because I want the guys to be accountable. I've got my last slide here. Hold on here. Oh, this is a good one here in terms of I know that you all are very advanced regarding technology. So I just want to make you aware that I want you to take a picture of this screen, whatever you need to do, Matthew and Isaac, but this is also an enabler. These are basically some time management apps. I know that this generation very much so is about, advancement, technology, and app. So I want to make sure that I am leaving you with something tangible that maybe you can try out yourself, okay, regarding different ways in which you can become a little bit better with your time management, okay? So feel free to take a picture of that slide. And then the last one here is I want you to build your own action plan. And so, as part of that action plan, I want you to think about quadrant number one. What are you going to start doing? What are you going to start doing? The second quadrant says, what are you going to do more of? Maybe it's more planning, right? Maybe it's more holding yourself accountable to your to-do list. The next one, what are you going to do less of? Maybe you're going to do less social media, right? And then the last one is, what are you going to stop doing? And maybe your stop doing is turning in late assignments. Maybe your stop doing is actually showing up late for meetings. Okay? So this is what I want to leave you with, because it's one thing to go to a workshop, and then it's something else to hold yourself accountable and build in real life action plans of what are you going to do differently. Okay? So can I get at least one volunteer in each one of these quadrants? What are you going to start doing? Looking for a volunteer. What are you going to start doing?
I can volunteer for the first one. I'm gonna start doing like my work right when I get it instead of like just waiting to do it like the next day.
Okay. Oh, thank you for that, Isaac. Okay. What are you going to do more of? Looking for a volunteer. What are you going to do more of?
I'll do more walking, exercise.
Good. I like that. Thank you for that, Mr. Blue.
Dang,
Okay.
Brother Blue stole my. I was just getting ready to say the same thing.
Well, we
We're
always
brothers. We think
We all
alike.
can do it. We all
We
can do
think
it.
alike.
We all can do
exactly.
it.
I love that. Okay. What are you going to do less of?
Sitting down and watching television
Yeah.
or being on devices.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. And what are you going to stop doing? What are you going to stop doing?
Stop grabbing my phone is the first thing I do when I get up in the morning.
Bingo. Thank you for that, Stephen. Going to establish a new habit. Okay. Thank you for that. Because the next thing you know, 5 minutes is turning into what? 20 minutes, right? And we also have to realize, too, that goes back to self-management. It can wait. It's been waiting all night. We got to rethink. We got to create some new brain waves, new habits, okay? This thing can wait, okay? So I appreciate you saying that you're going to stop grabbing your phone first thing in the morning, okay? So, with that, it has been my absolute honor and my pleasure to be with you. I thank you so much for being so engaging. And let's all work on building better habits regarding time management. I'm Jackie Welch. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss Welch.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I would like to get a group picture. That's my last request. Oh, group picture.
Are we all there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's taking it? Who's
So
taking a
I'm
group
going to
picture?
take mine on my
Mrs.
phone, but I
Welch.
know that there's a way that you can also do it by way of screenshot too. But I'm going to take mine on my phone. Ready? Here we go. Gotcha.
All right.
All right. Well, we really appreciate you coming to do this workshop for us, Miss Welch. It was very, very, very informative. I learned a lot of stuff myself. Like I said, I do my best to try to manage my time, but it can always get thrown off some point. So we definitely appreciate you coming to do that. And I think the young men, I definitely think they got something out of it as well. What I want to do is also on behalf of the Palo Alto Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi, and also on behalf of the Palo Alto Kappa League, we want to present you with this nice plaque here.
Let me take a picture of that.
Just
Oh my goodness.
for our certificate of appreciation. It basically says certificate of appreciation. This certificate is proudly presented to Miss Jackie Welch. The certificate is awarded to Miss Jackie Welch on behalf of the Palo Alto Kappa League in appreciation for your presentation workshop on time management, October the 4th, 2025, signed by myself and Brother Paul Martin.
Hold up again.
Oh my goodness, that is beautiful.
All right.
Nice.
So I'll try to get this to you. If you're available tomorrow, I'll drop it off for you. Maybe get a couple more pictures we can have.
Well, I was not expecting that. So thank you so much. And I am just honored and humbled to even be a part of the great work that you are doing. Okay. So, we are part of the D9 family, and these are words I live by. Okay. Each one help one. Okay.
No problem at all. Thank you so much for your help.
Okay. Keep
I'll
up
turn
the
it
good
over
work, Isaac and Matthew. Okay. I'm
our
so
brother
proud of
Paul
you.
Mark, in case the brother Paul Mark has any last word, final remarks.
Yeah, I'm off mute. Good. I guess this was definitely eye-opening to new techniques, new things to concentrate on, and also to define the things that you're already doing. And some of them good, some of them bad, and you know what to make the corrections to. But now you guys, especially Matthew and Isaac, one of the things that this whole program is geared towards is to show you some paths that you can take to be more effective. I mean, we know we're training for leadership, but this is a part of it. This builds that foundation, and maximizing your time, even if it's in relaxation or in getting things done, is one of those cornerstones and foundational pieces. So I think this is a great way for us to start our program, and always reflect back to this as much as you can. And as Ms. Welch said, Monday, start Sunday night and get after it Monday and create new habits. And I mean, you guys would be, I can't wait. This is the exciting part about this thing is like, I'd sort of, Jackie mentioned the rocks or whatever. I sort of project forward and look forward. So I'm looking for the development in you guys and the change in you guys in December, right? And then it's going to be March, and then it's going to be June. So it's going to be fun to watch you guys grow in all these techniques and these things that we're presenting to you, and then watch your feedback to us, because we're here to learn too.
And I think what's great too, Brother Paul Mark, is these two young men are going to really get a lot of us to help them. And you guys will look back and say, man, that workshop or that event, whatever, really helped catapult my career and my success in life. And so you guys getting all of us, you're getting all of our attention, just like if you were our own children, right? You're getting a lot of us to pour into you to make you guys better humans, better people.
Yep. Any other comments, brothers, before we close?
Great workshop.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Jackie did great.
Let's give Miss Jackie one more round of applause. Great. Well, Ms. Jackie, again, we appreciate your time, appreciate the information you provided. It gives us time to close out our meeting for today. Isaac and Matthew, hope you have a great evening, and we'll see you guys on the 18th for our induction ceremony, where you officially become Kappa Leaguers.
Right.
All right.
Study those pledges and purpose.
Yeah.
Stay on it. Stay on it.
So proud of you, Isaac and Matthew. This is a great way to use your time, okay? Investment in yourself. Very proud of you. Very proud of you, young man. It's going to pay out for you, okay?
All right, Isaac.
All right.
You guys have a good evening. Brothers, have a good weekend and evening. And you too, Miss Welch, have a good evening.
Thank you again.
All
Keep
right.
up the great work.
All right.
Take care, Alex.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Good.
Take care.
Be safe.
Bye.